Here we go. Arsenal.
This is one of the great... If you want to say he's the greatest manager of all time, you can discuss that at home. But he is one of the greatest Arsenal managers of all time.
Correct.
And whether you're pro him, anti him, like Arsenal, don't like Arsenal, to watch somebody who has done so much for one club and for English football as well, it's getting... I feel it's almost getting voyeuristic now, isn't it? Sort of rubbernecking somebody who's having a horrible time. They've lost 4 in a row in all competitions.
I think how we're feeling... You can guys express how you're feeling, but I'm speaking for the general football fan, is we love Arsene Wenger, and we have loved him for many a year. But now you're watching Arsenal, and now you're expecting them to get beat. You know, I couldn't have been more wrong at the weekend. I thought Arsenal was going to beat Brighton. I thought it was a perfect game for them, footballing game away from home, not too much riding on it. The players will play because they got battered a couple of times against City. People like Mesut Ozil will start playing, people like Iwobi, people like... Jack Wilshere, they'll be a little bit more solid at the back. Petr Cech made 1 or 2 saves. I couldn't have been more wrong, Mark. They should have been 4-0 down. And you're starting to watch Arsenal. You're starting to watch them sort of through your fingertips thinking, this is not nice anymore. Because we're talking about a legendary manager.
Can I just put a bit more flesh on the bones about that, then I will get your view. So people have just seen on screen that they've won 3 away games, drawn 4 and lost 8. Watford and Burnley have won more on the road. The same away record as Newcastle.
Wow.
Worst points tally at this stage since 1994-95, when, ironically, the last manager before last got sacked. George Graham got sacked that season. And they've lost 4 in a row for the first time since 2002 in all competitions.
That's Arsenal Football Club. They're embarrassing stats. They really are. I find that Arsenal on the pitch are playing just like the manager's personality. You know, they're nice and they're kind and they don't really lose their temper. Nobody's having a go at each other. They're just getting on with it.
And now they're deflated.
And now they're deflated. And all the colour's gone out of his face. He's not enjoying his job anymore. How could you enjoy your job when you've got really, well, I say really quality, you've got 4 or 5 good players that are just not performing. And I believe for Arsenal Football Club's sake, Arsene Wenger has to go and say, listen, thanks very much, but I know I can't do any more. I believe he has to go.
For his sake as well?
For both.
But I think the fans are so low at Arsenal now, what's going to give the fans a lift? And it pains me to say, but if Arsene Wenger come out now before the AC Milan game in Europa League and just said, I'm stepping down at the end of the season, it can go either way. The players could, because I think there's some weak mentalities in that dressing room anyway, the players could completely down tools, or it might just give the general public and the fans a lift inside the Emirates thinking, well, now we can actually give him the send-off he deserves. Not going out with a little bit of a whimper and not questioning every other week, is this going to be his last year? He might stay on, he might
Carried
not.
out the front door on his shield rather than skulking out the back.
I always thought with Arsene Wenger, when he's been going through this difficult time, which has been happening for a long time, it's 14 years, but especially in the last 2 years, I always thought he's bulletproof. You know, there's no way Arsene Wenger will leave. There's no way the board will sack him. Now I'm getting to the point where it's impossible if Arsene Wenger stays on.
He was still winning, because he was still winning things. I know it's only the FA Cup, but most clubs wouldn't say it's only the FA Cup. They'd love it. I want to show people Petr Cech's tweet. Petr Cech, fantastic professional, won it all with Chelsea, and has admitted in his tweet that he was responsible for both goals yesterday. We've seen the Glenn Murray goal a few times, which he should have saved. The dunk goal as well, the early goal we can see again as well, where he comes for a corner, which... should he have stayed at home?
But if only more Arsenal fans had the same mindset as Petr Cech.
Players.
Had the same mindset as Petr Cech, because he took his shirt off.
On the chin.
He took his shirt off after the game and he went to the Arsenal fans and he gave a little fan his shirt and he sends out a tweet saying exactly what he said, which was 100% correct. And he's trying to take a little bit of pressure off the front line of the midfield by saying, I've made 2 horrendous mistakes. He has, but if only more players would do this.
You know, you cannot... with a football club of the size of Arsenal, you cannot achieve anything at all. When I mean by that, winning the league, getting anywhere near the Champions League, unless you've got players that are going to be accountable for their actions. And I can't.
So is he getting too much stick because the players are frankly not doing it?
I believe that he has to get stick, and I believe the players have got to say, listen, you know, like Petr Cech has. You know, we've been shocking. I've not earned my money.
Is it not the case, and we're about to watch Chelsea again, and Chelsea the season after they won the league with Mourinho, is it not the case? Well, it is the case, isn't it? It's 95% of the time, this person gets the stick, this person gets the sack, and the players who've been average get away with it.
They do get away with
it.
But that has to come from the manager.
Yeah.
This wouldn't happen under Jose Mourinho. This wouldn't happen under Pep Guardiola.
No, it did happen under Mourinho, but Mourinho got the sack.
Exactly,
he wouldn't have stood for it. And it wouldn't happen under Jurgen Klopp's watch. Now, if you take one player in isolation, Oxlade-Chamberlain, when he signed for Liverpool, he couldn't get a game for 6 or 7 weeks. And the reason was because Liverpool had to put him through another pre-season because they realised how unfit he actually was. That comes from Arsene Wenger. That comes from Steve Bold. It comes from the top. If your training is so loose from a Monday to Friday, the whole premise, we've said it for many a year, Dion, right? You play how you train. Right, and these are sad signs.
So what happens now? And the away fans of any club are the hard.
They're the ones that travel.
You like to go. We all love to go to football, and sometimes you go to a home game, and someone invites you, and it's not. These are the hardcore. If they turn on
if you've
lost them.
If you lose your away fans, you're on a very slippery slope. And I think if you've got players going to training, and if you train half-heartedly at 50%, 75%, and it's accepted, you will do exactly the same on a Saturday.
And Dion, that's probably the type of session that Arsene Wenger's putting on, where it's not at its maximum.
Correct. He wants to save his players.
Steve Bold, a legendary manager, did a great job at the academy. Surely you have to tap into his knowledge. How can we keep clean sheets? How can we defensively be more sound? What can I do with Granit Xhaka? What can I do with El Neni? How can we take the pressure off and be harder to beat? Not tippy-tappy, because I know it from inside the dressing room. I know Franny Jeffers really well, who spent time at Arsene Wenger. And he said to me, Don, the easiest pre-season I've ever had was at Arsenal. Walter Smith at Everton was brutal. He said the hardest run you do, the hardest run you do is 6 minutes long. Yeah. It's all football.
Sure, but that Franny Jeffers team won the double, so it's not...
No. What I'm saying is, it might have been dripping in from then.
Yeah, might be.
All that sort of allowing players to get away with it.
I think we will return to this subject.
Yes, I hope not.
One way or the other.
I feel for Arsene.
I really feel for him.
Because we all know he's been great, but for the sake of the team...
He needs a proper friend now to sit him down and go...
I believe he needs a breather. He needs a breather. Go and enjoy yourself. Get yourself back to France.
Yeah.
Have a life. You've done brilliant for the Premier League, but go and have a life and enjoy yourself. You deserve it.